I want to show you how I took these trades using the key level breakout strategy, and then I'm also going to show you how to identify key levels so that you can trade for yourself. If that sounds good, please press the like button and subscribe if you have not done so. I always share my signals in the signal group. When I took these trades, I was doing one simple thing, identifying a key level and then taking the trade at the breakout of that key level. For this first trade, I marked this key level, and then when price closed below that key level right there, I took a trade. I took a trade which pulled it down and then pulled up again, leaving this pivot. I marked this lowest point, and when price closed below it right there, I took a trade. Okay, price dropped down again, and then right here, you might not see it clearly, but I then dropped to the 5-minute time frame. If you can take a close look to the 5-minute time frame, price pulled down and then pulled up again, leaving this lowest point as a key level. Okay, so when price closed below it right there, I took this last trade. So let me show you how to identify key levels. Already you can have a clue. Let's look for another chart. USD JPY. I also had a trade right here. Okay, I also had a trade right here using the same principle, but I just want a clean chart. Identifying key levels is very simple, guys. Very simple. Whenever price is moving up like this, if you see price pulling back, it suggests that this point right here is an area of interest. It is a key level. So you mark that point, and then let's say price reverses and pushes up. Right when you see price reversing right here, it shows that this is another important level in the market. I call it a key level. So if you see price coming to close above this key level, right there you can take a buy. Basically, there are other things which I spoke about in my other videos. Please find a video on the fine-tuned strategy. It will also help you. Let's say price is on an uptrend. On an uptrend, you first identify the highest point, and the highest point in this trend is this. If this is the highest point, where did it begin? Where did it start from? And that highest point started from this point right here. Remember, price is moving from left to right. So this point right here is where that highest point began. Price moved from this pivot point straight up. What you wait for is that if price closes above this key level, you take a buy. If price closes below this key level, you take a sell. Simple as that. On a downtrend, you mark the lowest point first. Okay, the lowest point where price has closed. You cannot mark this as the lowest point because price is still here. Price might just repaint and pull back, and you can have this as a wick. So the lowest point where price closed or where price reversed is this point right here. That is the lowest point. And the question is, where did that lowest point begin? So This lowest point began right at this point. Now, what you have in mind is that if price close below this key level, you take a sell. If price close above this key level, it shows that price is reversing into an uptrend. You look to take buys. You take a buy. Right here, you can see that price is already closed below this key level, so you might take a sell. Let me just repeat. On an uptrend, you mark the highest point where price has already closed, and this is the highest point. Okay, and then you ask yourself where this highest point began, and it began right here. So you mark this as your lower key level. If price closes above this, you take a buy. If price closes below this, you take a sell. On a downtrend, you mark the lowest point first, and then you mark the point where this lowest point began. It didn't begin right here because price is not moving from right to left. It began right here because price moves from left to right. So your key level will be this point. Okay, if price closes above this, you take a buy. If price closes below this, you take a sell. Here is another important thing. Let's say price was moving up like this, and you can see that it's somewhat an uptrend. In this case, remember, you first mark the highest point. Now the question is, where did this highest point begin? I know that some can say that it began right here. It is not here. Price began right at this point, because what you focus on is the higher highs. Here was the previous higher high, and from this previous higher high, price pulled here. If this point right here was somewhat like this and higher than this previous higher high right there, then this would be the key level of focus. But then this is lower than this, so it is not an area of focus. As far as I am concerned, this is just a straight move to the top. Maybe one thing that I can say is that if you are still a beginner in this, please try to identify clear trends. Try to identify clear trends so that you will be able to see the highest point and where that highest point began. There are a lot of pairs in the market. Don't try to force matters and find a trade where you can't clearly see. Maybe just one example of how to identify key levels on a real chart. Okay, so what you would do, you identify the highest points. This was the highest point, and a point that is higher than this one, I can say it is this one, and another point that is higher than this one, I can say it is that one. Another point that is higher than that one, I can say it is this one. So when you were right at this point, or let me just start right from this point. When you were at this point, you would mark this point as your key level. That when price closed above this key level, you would have taken a buy. And this key level began, you mark the lowest point. I can say it is this point right here. So if price was to close below this, you would take a sell. So right here, you would have taken a buy. Price pushed up. Right at this point, you would mark this as the highest point, and the this highest point began. You look to the lowest point between this, and that lowest point is this point right there. Okay, it is this point. So if price was to come from here and close below this, you would take a sell. Price closed above, you would have taken a buy. When price was right at this highest point, okay, you would have marked that point, and you look at the lowest point between this highest point and this previous point right here. The lowest point between those two is this point, is this point right here. When price closed below this key level right here, you would have taken a sell right at this point. And if you watch my other video on the fine-tuned strategy, you will realize that you would have taken the sell trade right at this point. So it's just like that. It's just like that. This is your key level. This is your key level. When price closed below this, you would have taken a sell right there. All you can do if you really want to know this is to give it enough practice. I think I'll make another video that will explain on key levels maybe next week. It will make more sense after you have watched this one. Enjoy your evening. Thank you for watching.